Hey, good day, everyone. Dan LaBert here at Brokerage in Motion. Another executive spotlight as part of NAILBA 40. Today, I'm with the head of Financial Advisor Network, National Accounts and Long-Term Care for Pacific Life, Mark Pellicano. If you don't know him, get to know him, but he's a recognizable face here with NAILBA. Mark, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Dan. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well. All right, so I promised I wouldn't take a lot of your time here, but we want to know what's going on with Pac Life. You guys absolutely crushed it in 2020. Lots of very happy GAs in the independent space about their relationship with Pac Life. But you know, we had this conversation offline, and I thought it'd be good for opportunity to have a more formal interview around it. But you know, the past few years, there's been several announcements with life insurance companies kind of leaning out, right? Clearly after 2020, Pac Life is leaning in and has always been leaning in, but what is Pac Life's commitment to the life insurance space moving forward?
It's a great question. So first of all, Pacific Life is over 150 years in the business, right? We are uniquely positioned in the industry as a mutual holding company, right? So you think about that, we're focused on developing products for our customers that will be long-term investments for them. And these products evolve with our clients' needs in mind as we build them. And the last thing I would say about that is, hey, we're best in class when it comes to being positioned with strong ratings and financials. Pacific Life's investment philosophy is 100% focused on the long-term strategy. So,
all right, now I know you have a fantastic team around you. I know you got some great marketing people, and I hear that phrase all the time, uniquely positioned, right? But you know, I'm not going to take it easy on you just because we're friends, right? I kind of want to know, like, being part of a mutual holding company structure, just expand on that and talk a little bit about what, you know, how that impacts the clients of a BGA and advisor. Like, really, what does it mean to be, you know, that uniquely positioned as a mutual?
Yeah, and I have actually worked at stock companies before. Yep. And I've had obviously the pleasure of working at a mutual company, and it truly is night and day in the way they think about things. But I think the key things that I would kind of point out for Pacific Life specifically, one is obviously policy owners are actually members of the company, right? So we are not a publicly traded company. Therefore, stock performance is not one of the drivers when we're making big decisions, right? So that allows us to take a long-term view on all the investments we make. But I think the biggest thing, Dan, I think about our commitment, right, to this industry and our policyholders is clearly reflected in some of the awards that Pacific Life has recently received, right? So let me give you a walkthrough. You get Dalbar Customer Service Award winner. Right? Ethisphere Institute named Pacific Life one of 2020's world's most ethical companies. We were named best life insurance company in 2020 by Forbes Advisors. So when you hear those things and you kind of think about, you know, how we're positioned, we're not only committed just to the life insurance space, but we're committed to growth in the life insurance space, because all of those things that I just pointed out are things that not only we're proud of, but we know we need to grow the business.
Okay, so you mentioned, you know, your clients are members, right? And you know, from my side of the tracks in the association world, membership has to be an experience. It can't just be a transaction. And you know, you mentioned earlier, Pac Life's 150 years old. All right, now that's definitely something to brag about, because you guys clearly have the chops. You've been around. But so I sit there and say, okay, we're selling to not just the existing demographic, but new demographics, right? Different ages. So when a new demographic looks at Pac Life being 150 years old in this space, what gives them the indication that you're doing some things moving forward? You're looking at where you're going, not where you've been for 150 years, especially as we all become more digital.
Yeah, there's a lot to this question, right? So I think first and foremost,
it's kind of a loaded question, but I know you can handle it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the best I can with this.
Well, I mean, think about it, right? Because this is an industry where life insurance. I mean, show me a 25-year-old thinking about purchasing a life insurance policy, right? It's just not there. But if we're meeting them where they are, especially in digital, that narrative can change. And you guys have been around the block. So what are you doing now that's going to attract, where we're going?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that jump into my mind. Like first is I think e-capabilities are critical, right? Having an end-to-end digital capabilities in place from submission to delivery are now table stakes, right? You need to have them there. It's not an option. One of the most recent additions to this type of experience is the launch of our new online health history tool called About Me. And so About Me basically provides a client with an alternative to a telephone interview during the application process. So when you think about telephone interview and what slows down the experience of people purchasing insurance, a lot of it is just scheduling of whether they need to get exams and all this stuff. And so having the ability to say, well, I don't need to go set up an appointment for an interview, to just at my own convenience, 24 hours, anytime I want, I can just plug this information electronically in and it gets delivered. Those are the types of things that are going to make the difference in the buying experience for consumers, right? Accelerated underwriting programs. At some point, I think the industry is trying to get to an instant issue experience, right? Where they can just like when they purchase a mutual fund, they can purchase life insurance. I think we're still a little ways away from that.
Agreed.
But in the interim, right, we have accelerated underwriting programs in place today at Pacific Life that will make the experience a little bit brighter for the consumer. Another area is we need to invest in our distribution partners, right? Pacific Life is providing our financial professionals with resources and tools to help them grow their business. And so we're a brokerage company. And so you mentioned earlier how well we did, last year in sales and all that.
Yep.
The coolest part about that for me is that we don't have a captive career agent shop or people who get up and just sell Pacific Life. Every person who buys a Pacific Life product is buying through a financial intermediary that we work with and partner with, but we don't own. And so that's a big piece. So we've got to find ways to continue to invest in our distribution. Like we have social media tools for platforms like LinkedIn and customizable email templates where we can help our GA partners and our financial professionals be better positioned in the marketplace to market their businesses. We have practice management tools and content that will help them, again, position either whether it's the GA or the financial professional to be successful and position themselves with the consumer and the end users. So those are the kinds of things that we're thinking about all the time to try to be better. I think the last thing I guess I would want to close with is Pacific Life is committed to evolving on how we do things. So this insurance industry right now is going through unprecedented change.
Yep.
It's bringing new market forces of changing consumer behavior, right? You got new competitors, you got additional regulation, not just regulation, you got new regulation coming in.
It's coming.
And you got technology. And all of these require us to evolve the ways in which we work in order to ensure success in the future. And so that's why when you look at Pacific Life and look at our company roadmap, mm-hmm. we are focused on all of these things. And with digital transformation being, one of the things that's at the top of our list.
Well, here's what I'm hearing, right? I'm hearing you're enhancing the advisor experience, especially around use of digital and social media. You are already well known for some professional development as far as virtual sales and wholesaler training, things like that. Your commitment to the space is unquestioned. It's unrivaled and it's unquestioned. And clearly I read too many annual reports and I got to get a hobby because that was my reference to your 2020 performance.
Right.
But sometimes you got to call it like it is. And I think you guys topped the charts in 2020. So clearly you're here to stay another 150 years. But your team is killing it, and your support of NAILBA is always very much appreciated. So please know your distribution knows you well and definitely thinks highly of you. And I'll tell you what, I think that, I mean, my personal experience, and I'm not gonna throw any BS at you. I think that about me section is awesome. Why, if we think like attorneys and accountants and other professions do, and we're putting a dollar figure to our time, why should I have to go answer the same questions that I could answer by just clicking online and creating the About Me section in my profile so we can move the process along?
You nailed it.
All right. I love it. I don't even work for Pac Life, but I'm good. All right, everyone. Mark Pellicano, Head of Financial Advisory Network, National Accounts and Long-Term Care for Pacific Life. And of course, Pacific Life is a supporter of NAILBA and all of independent distribution.